They are the crystal gems. They'll always save the day. And if you think they can't, then you probably know this show about as well as I know how to play the ukulele, which is not at all, because that's kind of what they do. A lot has happened in the 5 seasons that Steven Universe has been on the air, and it's only gonna get wilder with the new movie coming out later this September. So what better time for a refresher on all of our favorite space rocks? I'm Jacob with Channel Frederator, and we're about to embark on a journey across different planets and warp paths as we dive into the timeline of Rebecca Sugar's Steven Universe. So far, because the movie isn't out yet. Quick side note, the Steven Universe canon has expanded beyond animation and into things like comics and video games. And while these events, called the Level 2 canon, are considered part of the timeline, until the show decides to include them, we're not going to include them in this video either. Same goes for any other non-canon stuff, so I'm sorry, Uncle Grandpa fans, that crossover is not going to be appearing in this video. I know, it's quite devastating. I'm sure both of you are very disappointed. Also, since Steven is the driving force of the entire series, we're going to be using him as the central point for our timeline. Therefore, anything taking place before his birth is going to be referred to in this video as BS. Before Steven, not that other thing that'll get us demonetized. I'm gonna go put this away. And finally, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor Crunchyroll for making this video happen. The Diamond Authority begins. Way before any sort of recorded history in the timeline of the series, some of the most important events took place that laid out all the groundwork for what's to come. It's unknown just exactly how she comes into existence, but nevertheless, White Diamond appears out of nowhere eons ago. Being presumably the first gem to exist, White gives herself the task to construct all of Homeworld society, namely a caste system that puts the diamonds at the top and the other gems like pearls and rubies at the bottom. How convenient for White. At this time, cross-gem fusions are banned alongside off-color gems like fluorite and rhodonite. With her fellow diamonds, yellow, blue, and pink, White creates the Diamond Authority and begins to spread their empire across all of space, colonizing planets to create even more gems. They take over a total of 43 planetary bodies and 2 whole solar systems to terraform in their own image. During the colonization of Jungle Moon, a celestial body first seen in the episode Jungle Moon, Pink Diamond demands her own colony from Yellow Diamond, but is turned down in classic big sister, little sister style. Around this time, Pink Diamond starts lashing out at her older sisters and becomes super rebellious. After having enough of her guff, White punishes Pink by taking away her pearl and beating and brainwashing them into obedience. Now you might be thinking, hey, that's not fair, but that's just how the diamonds roll. You're gonna be thinking that a lot throughout this timeline. And things are only gonna get worse for Pink Diamond. Pink Diamond colonizes Earth around 10,000 to 6,000 BS. After her original pink pearl is taken away from her and brainwashed, Pink is given a new pearl, the one that we all know and love in the main series. Instead of goofing off with Pink and getting into mischief like the previous pearl, this pearl was made to be more proper and reserved with her diamond. Of course, that didn't last long. After enough begging, Yellow and Blue Diamond finally allow Pink to control her own colony, some rinky-dink planet named Earth. The Prime Kindergarten is created on Earth, its sole purpose being to create more and more gems. A base is built on the moon so that Pink can easily monitor the creation of the gems. Colonization on Earth is in full swing. The Lunar Sea Spire, Communication Hub, Sky Spire, and Sea Shrine are all constructed during this time. Gems from Homeworld are sent in droves to help out on Earth, with one of these ships bringing along poor Nephrite. Things don't go super well for Nephrite, but I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. So Pink finally got what she wanted, a colony of her very own, but she still finds herself bored. That is, until she sees how much fun the Amethyst Quartz soldiers that just popped out of the kindergarten are having. She desperately wants to join in, but knows she'll get an earful by Yellow and Blue if she does. So Pearl makes an offhand comment about how she should disguise herself as a rose quartz to fit in, you know, because gems can shapeshift. And of course, Pink takes that idea and runs with it, actually turning herself into a rose quartz soldier. During her time as rose quartz, Pink finds life on Earth to be absolutely beautiful. So beautiful, in fact, that she begins to reflect on what exactly they're doing here. Colonizing Earth will eventually cause the destruction of all natural life on the planet, so she decides to take a heroic stand, one that Yellow and Blue will absolutely understand and agree with. Look at them. Look at how understanding these two look. Instead, we get the whole big sister, little sister thing again, with Yellow scolding her to finish what she started and Blue completely misunderstanding and creating a human zoo in order to preserve life by, kidnapping people and dragging them away from their families to live in a glorified space prison for the rest of their lives. That's basically the same thing, right? So while Pink Diamond might not have gotten what she wanted, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't. And I know we all want more Steven Universe, and we're gonna get it really soon, but we can't rush Rebecca Sugar's magic. But while we wait for more, you can check out the shows that influenced her. Lots of fans know that Revolutionary Girl Utena played a huge role in the creation of the Crystal Gems, and with Crunchyroll's 14-day free trial, you can binge watch the shows that Rebecca Sugar grew up on, like One Piece, which, to be fair, is ridiculously long. So for a show that you can actually finish in 14 days, check out something like Cowboy Bebop. Kill La Kill is also bite-sized at only 24 episodes, and it's absolutely fantastic. And also, did you know that one of the animators from Kill La Kill worked on Steven Universe? So if, like me, you realize that you just need anime in your life to function, subscribe to Crunchyroll for the long haul. It's got the best new shows and a library of old favorites. To start your 14-day free trial, go to crunchyroll.com/Channel Frederator. That's crunchyroll.com/Channel Frederator. And if you need even more anime in your life, we've got a whole other anime channel that we all work really hard on and are very proud of. It's called Getting the Robot. If you're not already subscribed, you should go over and subscribe to that. It's fantastic. But let's stay focused. We're talking about Steven Universe here, so how is Pink Diamond doing? The Crystal Gems form around 5700 BS. Attempt after attempt to convince the other diamonds to give up their colonization plans goes nowhere, so Pink Diamond finally decides to take a stand against the Diamond Authority. Pink, still secretly disguising herself as Rose Quartz, and Pearl defect from Homeworld and form the Crystal Gems, a band of rebel gems fighting against the Diamond's colonization schemes. From here on out, we'll be referring to her as Rose Quartz when in this form and as Pink Diamond for when she's in her true form. Unfortunately though, disguising herself as Rose Quartz has a few consequences, one of which being a rebellion that slowly begins to pick up steam as time goes on. With this rebellion growing larger and larger by the day, Blue Diamond and the members of her court arrive on Earth to put a stop to the rebels before things get out of hand. Among the members of this court are Sapphire, an aristocratic gem who can see into the future, along with 3 ruby guards to escort her. Out of nowhere, Rose Quartz and Pearl attack Blue Diamond's court. In all of the confusion, one of the rubies and Sapphire accidentally fuse together for the first time, becoming Garnet. The entire court is disgusted by their fusion, and the two are cast out to Earth, away from the rest of Gem Society. Ruby and Sapphire, now alone with each other in the wilderness, begin to bond and slowly fall in love, to the point where they try to fuse into Garnet on purpose. Rose, fascinated by how 2 different gems were able to fuse, recruits the newly formed gems into the Crystal Gems, telling them that they should never question whether who they are is right. Welcome to Earth and all that. After seeing the beauty that both Earth and Gem Society has to offer, Pink makes one final attempt to convince the diamonds to end the colonization on Earth, noting the rebellion as too much of a hindrance. But even though the diamonds don't notice that she's trying to pull a sneaky on them, they still sadly ignore her once again, so this time she decides to make them listen. The Gem War, around 5000 BS. A 1,000-year war begins, known as the Rebellion or the Gem War, depending on who you ask. Countless battles are waged across Earth with heavy casualties on both sides. During the war, the Crystal Gems numbers grow exponentially, allowing them to hold their own against the Homeworld forces with relative ease. Among these new recruits are Bismuth, Biggs Jasper, Snowflake Obsidian, Tiger's Eye, and many others. A real colorful cast of memorable characters. I mean, come on, Biggs was loved by everybody. At least that's what Bismuth said. With the recruitment of Bismuth, the Forge is created, allowing an endless supply of awesome weapons for the Crystal Gems, among which is Rose's iconic giant pink sword. Around this time, a Lapis Lazuli visits Earth during the colonization, but is caught up in the war and ends up getting poofed by Bismuth. Homeworld gems come across her gemstone and, believing her to be a member of the Crystal Gems, trap her inside a mirror to interrogate her. Now you might be thinking to yourself, hey, that's not fair, but you know, we've been over this. This is just how the Diamond's forces roll. With her poofing gems left and right and beginning to create more and more dangerous weapons, Bismuth starts to become a problem for Rose Quartz. With the creation of the Breaking Point, a weapon designed to shatter gems, Rose determines that Bismuth has gone a bit too far, she's become a bit of a liability, and poofs her, trapping her in a bubble and keeping her hidden from the rest of the Crystal Gems. I guess just saying that Bismuth had become another casualty of war. As the war grows more intense by the day, Homeworld becomes desperate for more soldiers to add to their army and thus creates the Beta Kindergarten, a kindergarten specifically meant to pump out more soldiers as quickly as possible. And it's definitely a quantity over quality situation, since most of the Quartz soldiers that come from this kindergarten ended up being deformed. Among the deformed is Jasper, who is an absolute unit, way bigger than a normal Quartz. Rumor has it that she took out 80 Crystal Gems on her first day. With a never-ending supply of soldiers, it begins to feel like the war could be endless. Alright, so remember how we said that Pink Diamond would make the other other diamonds listen? Yeah, it's time to talk about that. You know we're talking about the launcher of countless theories and headcanons. After who knows how many attempts to reason with Yellow and Blue Diamond, Pink Diamond decides to take drastic measures to finally end the war. Along with Pearl, the two plan to stage the shattering of Pink Diamond at the hands of Rose Quartz. Pearl, shapeshifting into Rose Quartz, used her sword to poof Pink, who had swallowed some fake gem shards, giving off the illusion that she had indeed been shattered. From this point onward, Pink Diamond is no more and permanently goes by Rose Quartz in both name and appearance. The Diamonds are absolutely devastated at the loss of Pink. As a result of her alleged shattering, Homeworld enters a depression era and resources begin to run low. Earth is finally deemed non-viable and all plans to continue colonization of it are abandoned. A few battles take place afterwards, specifically one at the Strawberry Battlefield where Rose loses her scabbard, but for the most part, the war is over. Keen to not let all of their efforts go to waste though, the Diamond Authority still decides that Earth is of some use to them, namely testing forced fusion on the shattered remains of the crystal gems as a form of cruel punishment. The cluster is the result of one of these experiments and is placed at the center of the Earth to suffer for centuries. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, hey, that's not fair, but you know. The aftermath, around 4000 BS. As the Great Gem War began to die down, Homeworld gems are ordered to evacuate, leaving many of their own kind behind, like Nephrite and her crew, as well as Lapis Lazuli's mirror. In order to tie up all the loose ends on Earth, the Diamonds send out a massively bright final assault in an attempt to eradicate all gems from Earth, including all Rebel and Homeworld soldiers. Now you might be thinking, hey, that's not... Unfortunately, it doesn't quite have the effect that they wanted. Instead of destroying the gems remaining on Earth, it corrupts them. This causes the gem to take on a hideous, monstrous form, losing all signs of humanity and intelligence, instead becoming a simple, mindless beast. Thankfully, Rose Quartz was able to put up a massive shield just in time, protecting herself, Pearl, and Garnet from becoming corrupted. The only other gems that were able to survive the corruption were Bismuth, who was still trapped in a bubble, and Lapis Lazuli, who was in the mirror at the time. With their forces reduced to a mere 3 members, the crystal gems begin to lie low, taking on whatever corrupted gem monsters were left behind after the war. About 5,000 years after the war, the amethyst that we all know and love finally popped out of the beta kindergarten just a bit overcooked. And by a bit, we mean she's really tiny. The crystal gems soon come across her and recruit her. Well, I mean, it's not like she really had a choice. What else is she gonna do? With all 4 members together, the crystal gems construct the Crystal Temple near the outskirts of what would eventually become Beach City. Meanwhile, back on Homeworld, resources have continued to run low. This causes many of the gems created during Era 2 to be smaller than usual. As a result, they need to use technology to compensate for their smaller stature. One of the gems created during this era is Peridot, but more on her later. Beach City established, around 200 BS. Now let's take a huge jump forward in time and get to where the human aspect of Steven Universe starts to come together. In the 19th century, Captain William Dewey, his first mate Buddy Budwick, and their crew travel across the ocean in search of new land. While out at sea, their ship was attacked by a vicious corrupted gem. When all hope seemed lost, they were rescued by a massive gem fusion known as Obsidian, which was a fusion between Rose Quartz, Pearl, Garnet, and Amethyst. William Dewey becomes friends with the crystal gems and founds a settlement by the nearby beach, establishing Beach City. It's a very creative name, Captain Dewey. That must have taken you literal seconds. At this point, Buddy Budwick decides to venture out on his own and become an explorer and author. He visits many iconic locations from throughout the Gem War, such as the Strawberry Battlefield and the Beta Kindergarten, but he eventually ends up in the desert where he properly meets Rose Quartz and her pack of lions. Oh, did we mention that Rose had lions? Well, she had lions. It was pretty cool. Sadly, at some point, one of Rose's lions passes away, but she's having none of that and resurrects him with her healing powers. The lion is reborn with pink fur and an even pinker mane, now blessed? Cursed? With immortality? And a strange crack in space-time within his mane. Rose uses this pocket dimension inside the lion's mane to start storing sentimental and important artifacts, including Bismuth's bubble gem and several other plot-relevant items. She keeps this a secret from the rest of the crystal gems. Boy meets gem, around 10 BS, or the 1990s. Let's take another big leap forward in time and follow the story of Greg DeMeo, a young man who drops out of community college around this time to follow his dream to become a rock star. After changing his name to Greg Universe and buying a van, which becomes his home, Greg signs a deal with a scummy manager and travels around the state performing shows that nobody shows up to. Well, except one person, one gem, Rose Quartz. Greg falls in love with Rose, decides to drive his van into her heart and stay in Beach City, cutting off all ties to his manager. The two settle down together and Greg starts a job at the It's a Wash car wash, eventually becoming its owner. Steven is born around 2000. In the year 2000, Steven Quartz Universe Universe is born to Greg Universe and Rose Quartz. Given the unique nature of his birth, Rose must give up her physical form in order for Steven to exist, causing him to gain her gem heritage stone in his belly button. Rose's absence is felt tremendously by both Greg and the crystal gems, but all four of them agree to raise Steven together. Steven grows up living mostly with his father, but the gems are still heavily involved in his early life. Around 2012, a beach house is added to the Crystal Temple as a place for Steven to live. He begins his training with the crystal gems to unlock his gem powers. 1 year later, when Steven turns 13, he moves into the beach house and finally starts his journey to follow in his mother's footsteps and properly become one of the crystal gems. Around this time, Steven unofficially meets Connie Maheshwaran for the first time at the Beach City Boardwalk Parade when he picks up the glow stick bracelet that she had dropped. He keeps it in his freezer so it'll stay glowing, just in case he ever runs into her again. Season 1, around 13 AS or 2013. We finally made it to the start of the series, and it only took over 10,000 years. Since Steven's been born now, we'll be referring to these years as AS or after Steven, but given how relatively short the series is compared to its history though, this probably won't be coming up much. Alright, anyway, Season 1, which began airing in our 2013 and taking place in their 2013, convenient. Steven is now in the full swing of his training, though he's still treated like a little kid by the other crystal gems. It's kind of understandable though, given his love for things like Dogcopter and Cookie Cats, which for the record are amazing. A lot happens in Steven's first year of being an official crystal gem. A homeworld surveillance vessel known as a Red Eye appears, ending a 4,000-year-long absence of homeworld interest in Earth. Using his mother's laser light cannon along with ancient sage hot dog wisdom from his father, Steven is able to destroy the Red Eye. While Earth is safe for a bit, homeworld is tipped off to the existence of crystal gems that survived the corruption all those years ago. During a mission in the desert, Steven discovers the lion that Rose had revived so long ago, still alive and kicking. The two become fast friends, and soon Lion joins the crystal gems. Not long after, Steven discovers Rose's secret armory, as well as the pocket dimension inside Lion's mane. Steven also officially meets Connie around this time, and the two begin hanging out and getting into all sorts of adorable magical shenanigans. During this year, Steven also inadvertently releases Lapis Lazuli from her mirror prison, causing her to lash out against the crystal gems and steal the entire Earth's ocean in her attempt to get back to homeworld. Steven helps her, and she leaves Earth and its oceans alone. A few other notable events happen during this year, like when Steven forms an army of sentient watermelon Stevens, which, believe it or not, they're gonna come back! Steven and Connie fusing into Stevani, proving that humans and gems can indeed fuse together, or humans and half-human, half-gem hybrids at least, and Peridot arriving to Earth on a scouting mission sent after the Red Eye detected gem activity. Steven confronts Peridot though, causing her to flee back to homeworld. Peridot kinda spends the first few seasons with the same energy as Rita Repulsa from Power Rangers, and it was kind of amazing. I mean, Peridot's great now too, but she was such a cartoon in the first few seasons. Shortly after, Earth is invaded by a small fleet of homeworld gems led by the absolute unit Jasper from the Prime Kindergarten, Peridot, and a captured Lapis Lazuli. Beach City is evacuated, and Steven finally starts to learn the truth about the Gem War. Jasper forces Garnet apart and captures the crystal gems. On the gem warship, Steven learns of Ruby and Sapphire for the first time, and together they're able to defeat Jasper and destroy the warship. Peridot manages to escape, and Lapis and Jasper fuse into Malachite, supposedly to, kill everyone. But it's a trick! Lapis uses this fusion as a chance to drag Jasper to the bottom of the ocean with her. The crystal gems take a breather and think that this might be a good time for a vacation, or a hiatus, or something like that. Season 2, around 14 AS, or 2014. Moving right along to Season 2, the citizens of Beach City begin to rebuild after the damage caused by the gem warship. Wanting to help Steven in his upcoming fights against Homeworld, Connie takes up sword lessons from Pearl. With Peridot on the loose, the gems begin tracking her down so that she can't contact Homeworld or escape. During one of their missions to catch her, they discover the existence of the forced fusion experiments, and after capturing and befriending Peridot, because that's how the crystal gems do, she reveals to Steven the existence of the cluster, the massive forced fusion in the center of the Earth that's basically a ticking time bomb waiting to go off. If it's not dealt with quickly, its emergence could destroy the entire Earth. With the help of Peridot, the crystal gems begin to build a machine that can travel deep into the Earth's core and take care of the cluster. During all of this chaos, Steven has his 14th birthday. Eventually, Peridot is able to contact Homeworld, but instead of betraying the gems, she betrays Homeworld and defects, becoming an official member of the Crystal Gems. Season 3, still 14 AS or 2014. On the day of the cluster's reformation, the Crystal Gems split up into two groups, Steven and Peridot in one, and Garnet, Amethyst, and Pearl in the the other. While Steven and Peridot travel to the center of the Earth to confront the cluster, the other crystal gems travel to Watermelon Island. Yeah, remember how I said the sentient watermelons were gonna come back? Well, they kinda started their own civilization and Steven can telepathically communicate with them. It makes more sense in the show, trust me. Anyway, Malachite was spotted on Watermelon Island, so the crystal gems head there, defeat them, and rescue Lapis Lazuli while Jasper gets away. Meanwhile, Steven and Peridot are able to successfully neutralize the cluster and seal it safely within a bubble. It's a very big bubble. With the threat behind them and new friends along for the journey, Steven helps Lapis adjust to life on Earth by having her move into the barn with Peridot. After some casual adventures in Beach City and a short period of peace, Jasper returns with an army of corrupted gem monsters. At the Prime Kindergarten, Steven, Amethyst, and Peridot confront Jasper, who attempts to fuse with a corrupted gem. Steven and Amethyst are finally able to fuse, creating Smoky Quartz, who proceeds to kick Jasper's ass with a yo-yo, the coolest way to kick someone's ass. Jasper is poofed and bubbled, ending her reign of terror. Around this time, Steven discovers Bismuth's bubbled gem inside Lion's mane and accidentally releases her. They start to get along, but Steven soon realizes why his mother sealed her away in the first place, and eventually must do the same himself. Later, a group of rubies arrive on Earth searching for Jasper. Shenanigans ensue, and Steven learns from the rubies that his mother shattered Pink Diamond, unaware of Rose Quartz's true identity. Shortly after, he and one of the homeworld rubies become trapped in space in a bubble. Well, at least until Steven's saved by the crystal gems and brought back to Earth. Season 4, still 14 AS, or 2014. It's been a long year for Steven. After some strange dreams resulting in giant Studio Ghibli-esque tears, Steven and Greg travel to Korea to confront the source of his dream, Blue Diamond visiting the spot where Pink was shattered. Blue abducts Greg and takes him to the human zoo that once belonged to Pink. The crystal gems travel to the zoo in order to rescue him. They discover a whole society of humans living there who descended from the first captives thousands of years ago. While at the zoo, Steven catches a glimpse of both Yellow and Blue Diamond in person for the first time, and they are huge. Back on Earth, residents start mysteriously going missing. It turns out a gem named Aquamarine has been stealing them to take them to the zoo. In an attempt to save his friends, Steven reveals his mother's gemstone, leading Aquamarine to believe that Steven and Rose Quartz are the same person, since human reproduction is kind of a weird concept for gems to grasp, let alone what Steven is. She captures Steven and takes him to Homeworld with his surly human friend Lars accidentally stowed away on the ship as well. Season 5, around 14 AS into 15 AS, or 2015. While on the Homeworld ship, Steven discovers that Lars is still on board. The two are brought to Homeworld and Steven is put on trial for Rose Quartz's war crimes. During this trial, Steven learns that his mother might not actually be responsible for the shattering of Pink Diamond thanks to the lateral thinking provided by a Zircon defense attorney. When this information is revealed, chaos breaks out and Steven and Lars escape in the heat of the moment. They find themselves in the depths of Homeworld where they meet some rogue off-color gems who have been living in hiding for eons. Unfortunately, they're pursued by Robonoids and Lars is killed in an explosion. Though all hope seems lost, Lars is revived through the inherited healing factor of Steven's tears, giving him a pink appearance similar to Lion, at the time solving the mystery of why Lion looks the way he does. The newly revived Lars discovers that his hair has the same pocket dimension as Lion, which Steven uses to get back home and find help to rescue Lars. Lapis, fearing the diamonds, leaves Earth and takes the barn with her, abandoning the crystal gems and Peridot. Meanwhile in space, Lars and the off-colors become well acquainted with each other, steal a homeworld ship, and start exploring the cosmos together, becoming Lars of the Stars. Steven and Connie as Stevani visit Lars through his pocket dimension, but eventually find themselves stuck on the jungle moon where they learn more about Pink Diamond's past. Through Pearl, Steven finally learns the truth about his mother. She was Pink Diamond all along. It takes a bit for Garnet and Amethyst to accept that Pink Diamond was Rose Quartz, but eventually they come around to it. With this acceptance and newfound purpose, Ruby and Sapphire decide to get all sentimental and have a proper wedding. Steven decides to give Bismuth another chance for the wedding, and through forgiveness, they add another crystal gem back to their group. Unfortunately, the wedding is crashed, literally, by the diamonds. Thankfully, Lapis crashes their wedding crash with her own crash, bringing the entire barn down on the diamonds. She then officially joins the crystal gems. But the diamonds fight back, and once again, when all hope seems lost, Steven uses his out-of-body astral projection type powers to show them who he really is, Pink Diamond. This wins over the diamonds, and Blue and Yellow finally end their attack. With the help of the diamonds, Steven hopes to uncorrupt the gems that were affected by the massive light so long ago. They're able to temporarily help the corrupted gems, but need White Diamond's help as well to permanently revert them. Oh yeah, remember White Diamond? She's still around. She shut herself away after Pink's shattering, but seems like we're finally gonna see what she's been up to. Steven, Garnet, Amethyst, Pearl, Connie, and the diamonds travel to Homeworld and are greeted by a massive welcome home ceremony for Pink. Steven's taken by an ominous, cracked White Pearl to meet White Diamond, whose presence is unnerving. White treats Steven like he's still Pink Diamond and as if she's only been away for a few months after throwing a temper tantrum. She sends him to Pink's palace, or like Pink's room, so that she can think about what she's done, but it's still still Steven, so... White Diamond sends her pearl to announce that Era 3 has begun, but Steven commits a blasphemous display of rebellion against homeworld sensibilities, namely Steven fusing with Connie and also the general existence of Garnet. This doesn't really please Yellow and Blue Diamond a whole lot either. A bunch of other gems start to follow their lead in fusing, and Yellow decides to just poof a bunch of gems and then trap Stevonnie in a prison. Steven's able to channel a Watermelon Steven back home to tell Bismuth, Greg, Peridot, and Lapis that they need help. Blue and Yellow eventually do decide to stand up to White, helping Steven in his attempt to convince her that Earth is worth saving. White isn't into this idea though and fights back. Luckily, Bismuth, Peridot, and Lapis show up in the nick of time to help. It's too little too late though. White possesses and controls both Yellow and Blue, putting them out of commission. She does the same to Garnet, Amethyst, and Pearl and traps Connie, separating her from Steven. With Steven all to herself, White rips out his gemstone, hoping to get Pink to shed that weird, awkward human form and return to normal. Again, misunderstanding how Steven works. Instead, a Pink Steven is created who uses his big boy voice to say that Pink Diamond is gone for good and then fuses back with human Steven into 100% good ol' Steven Universe. Steven finally internalizes the idea that he isn't Pink Diamond or Rose Quartz, he's always just been himself. White Diamond admits defeat and releases the gems. Steven comforts his aunt? Grandma? Whatever. He chooses to accept her and get her to recognize her own flaws because that's how the crystal gems do. With his family problems resolved, Steven, Connie, the crystal gems, and the diamonds return to Earth, uncorrupt the gems, and live happily ever after. Well, for now. Steven then presumably grows a neck, and then this rubber hose gem's gonna wreck their day. And there you have it. You are now caught up on Steven Universe. Lucky for you, the dreaded hiatus won't last too long this time, since Steven Universe the movie debuts on Cartoon Network on September 2nd, 2019. Thank you for watching the complete Steven Universe timeline. Be sure to subscribe for more videos like this one. I've been Jacob, and remember, Frederator loves you.